So, have you ever been to a strip club?
Not one that would have been depicted in this film. Certainly, I've
Not
had
enough buttholes.
uh uh well. No, I've been the only strip club I've actually been to was a male strip club. So it was just a handful of naked dudes around. There's a place down in the Strip District called Lucky's, which if you go into the first floor, just seems like a regular dive bar. But then you go upstairs, and the room is very mirrored and very small, and there are 2 to 3 just naked dudes dancing on the bar,
Huh. I think
and a very unperturbed bartender.
unperturbed.
Deeply unperturbed.
Good.
He's just calm as can be.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it's either this past weekend or this weekend. P-Town
P-Town.
is having just a naked night.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
I'm like, you know what? It's kind of interesting.
Neat.
I kind of want to, if I felt a little better about myself and
It had some
time.
and had some remote recording equipment.
Yeah.
DeRazzled on location from Naked Night at P-Town.
God, that'd be so good. I don't know what movie we would cover, but
This.
Oh,
We're already
right.
doing it. Well, I guess we still have to cover Striptease, because that also won a Razzie for Worst Picture, if I'm not mistaken. But
you hear that, P-Town? There's still time. Which is also a gay bar, so it wouldn't quite fit the movie, but that's fine.
Hey.
Yeah, I've never been to a strip club. But,
I hadn't before that. I have not been since, and I don't really have a particular drive to go to one.
So was there anybody dancing?
Meaning aside from the dancers?
Well, were they just like hanging out, or was there like a dance happening?
I mean, they were like just kind of grooving to like whatever was playing over the speakers. They're not like it was a very small room. There was room for them to dance on the bar, and that's like about it. So they would like get up and dance on the bar for a while, and then like go sit at a table and smoke a cigarette. And like,
I think that's the experience I would prefer.
It was fairly. Yeah, it was not a big stage production by any stretch of the imagination. It's just like, you know. One guy's kind of a cowboy, and one.
I've always been kind of intimidated to go. Like, not that I've had much of a desire.
Yeah,
I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do? Is there a lot of like shit happening? But if it's just like, oh, most of them are smoking in the corner.
Well, that's the thing. Is like you always like I always hear stories about these places where it's like, oh, there's like the back rooms for private dances and all that, and there's there's this, that, and the other thing that's happening, and like, no, there's like a 2-drink minimum. You have to go, and they're gonna make you. They're gonna keep offering you alcohol. Right. You gotta buy it, or they're gonna have a problem.
Right.
You gotta.
What are all the rules?
Yeah, there's like big mean bouncers all over the place who are watching like a fucking hawk and ready to awkwardly touch some hanging beads in doorways. But no, this was not like that. My understanding is this is a very atypical strip club experience because it's literally just it's just a better lit dive bar above another dive bar where there's just some dudes just kind of shimmying and like dancing, just playing with their dicks a little bit, just like on the bar. That's it.
Are they? Maybe this is too much for our podcast, but are they trying to be erect? Or are they? I mean, someone's a flash or like half mass.
I think that they were definitely erect at points.
Okay.
But like you can't maintain that for super long.
That's why I asked.
There were definitely points where like they were the flag came down for a little while, but that was like kind of part of the allure and the dance of it was like them kind of teasing themselves back up. It was like watching how they handled that was like more like.
I'm imagining less a flag and more a wacky
waving inflatable arm flailing tube band. Kinda. I think one of them was uncircumcised, so yeah, that works.
Okay, so as far as you and I are aware, because neither of us have been to a traditional strip club,
yes,
everything in Showgirls is fact.
Sure.
Hey, welcome to DeRazzled, the podcast that takes award-winning worst films and fixes them. I'm Jack Colbert, sitting here suffer alongside me as always, also host Joe Neal.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, we're doing Showgirls. You probably know that if you read the words that are on your screen.
Or if you listen to part one, which I need to actually pick a bone real quick, because I kept making that joke about, like, if you haven't listened to part one, why are you here? There's still, like, 16 of you motherfuckers that have listened to Superman Lives part two, but not part one. And I'm very confused.
I hope you enjoyed it. Well, if you're here for the first time, welcome. It's going
to be a real weird opening for you to come into way too much information.
I've given up on ever asking my mom to listen to this show.
Oh, my mom probably will.
I saw that she was very proud of us for.
She was very proud.
It was nice. I opened my phone up. I had just woken up. Like, oh.
She's a good one, my mom.
What was? Did you have any exposure to Showgirls prior to working on this episode?
I mean, I was aware of its existence. I had not seen any of it. I think the most exposure I had to it was actually the episode of The Simpsons where Marge agrees to take Homer to go see Showgirls.
What?
Yeah, but and all that really happens is you see them in the car on the way back, and Homer is just like covered in all this ridiculous Showgirls merch, like a foam cowboy hat and a foam finger and shit. I might have dreamed this. This
sounds like it might be a dream.
It almost feels too stupid to be real.
Like...
But again, I could see Bill Oakley or someone making this joke.
I imagined it was the partially moving screen on like a 6-hour I don't know, rain or something, YouTube video, where it's just like, calming rain. Like an image of Marge and Homer in the car.
Marge and Homer after Showgirls, right. 10-hour loop.
Right. Oh God.
I'm gonna need to find that clip later.
Walking in the wind.
Oh my God.
Again, if it's your first time, if you're watching part two without watching part one, that's the original song made for this movie.
Unfortunately. Yeah. Don't look it up. It's bad.
I want to say, and this could also be fever dream, I want to say that my first and only interaction with this was playing Seen It.
Okay. Something probably came up about it in a game of Seen It. I haven't played that game in a long time.
Me neither.
Yeah.
Kind of want to.
Yeah.
But I'm cool with just playing by myself, to be honest.
It's just a great way to learn movie trivia.
Like that meme of Leonardo DiCaprio
from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
I had played it enough that I knew the answers, even though there were movies I'd never seen. That was Showgirls. That was my exposure to Showgirls.
Okay.
And I was aware of the legend.
The legend?
The infamy.
Okay.
Showgirls.
Okay.
So there really is no explaining this movie, but I would like to talk a little bit more about the people behind it.
Sure. Yeah, let's do that.
And we've already talked a little bit about Paul Verhoeven in the first episode.
Yes.
As well as our 2 episodes prior to that.
Yeah, I mean this is the wrap up of Verhoeven month officially. So yeah, I hope you've all enjoyed that. We have been. So
he's still making movies. He is
84 years young.
He would like to make another American-made movie.
Yeah, I'd like to see him do it.
I want to watch more of his stuff. There's certain ones I'm probably going to avoid. Spaters,
yeah, do without that one.
Yeah, they played a couple of clips in the documentary. You Don't Know Me, and I was like, that was enough. That was plenty.
That seems
more
fair.
than enough, actually.
Yeah.
The sex comedy with Rutger Hauer, I might watch that.
I am morbidly curious about that one
because you can tell in his performance. I'm thinking of The Hitcher and Blade Runner. That even though he's playing these maniacal villains, he's still got a sense of humor. I mean, he was also in a movie called Hobo with a Shotgun.
Oh, that was him?
That was him.
Oh, shit.
That was him. It wasn't good. but I think it was him. So the other half of the creative team, if you were to just have two and not
the entire like mess of people that
or the, DP or anyone,
yeah,
is Joe Esterhaus, who was at one point the most famous playwright or screenplay writer in Hollywood. So he wrote. He's where do I start with this guy? So he was born in Hungary.
Okay.
He has the personality of Rolf from the Muppets.
That is not how I expected that sentence to end.
He's really weird. Like
so you just to preface, if you haven't listened to episode 1, the interview with him 2 years after Showgirls came out was just titled "Sleazy Writer."
Yeah,
that does not give Rolf energy for me.
I don't think I quote this later, but the interview was done with the writer Sharon Waxman, Joe Esterhaus, and then Joe's wife was there as well. And Sharon Waxman is confused by this persona of this man because she's aware of his work.
Mm-hmm.
But then you go and he's kind of like laid back, bearded dude, chain smoking cigarettes, and she's like, "This is not the you were supposed to be sleazy and gross, and like you are, but also." His wife explains it. Well, that's Writer Joe.
That's Writer Joe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which we'll get to. So he was born in Hungary, and his father was a literal Nazi.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Hold on. Okay, so you're going to tell me that somebody claimed that Starship Troopers was made by literal Nazis. Mm-hmm. And here we have in Showgirls the son of a literal Nazi as the writer. I'm flabbergasted. Please go on.
Ride.
You started with Rolf and Nazis. Where the fuck do we go from here?
Oh man, some places. So he's a little younger than Paul Verhoeven, which you said was born in 30.
He was born in 38. Yeah.
So he grew up in an internment camp in Hungary.
Oh shit!
I think Hungary. I can't remember. But his father would pass around pamphlets, tracts, like whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It was very like pro-Nazi, like anti-Jew, pro-Nazi articles. And Joe did not know this growing up. He only found out later.
Sure. I would hope he wouldn't know this growing up. Like, holy shit.
But when he found out, he disowned his father.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Things are looking up.
Yes. So he was raised in the Catholic Church, which probably explains some things, honestly.
A little bit. Yeah.
Chain smoker.
Catholic Church. Yeah, I got you.
Right. But like 4-pack a day, chain smoker. Catholic Church, right.
Yeah, priest training.
He actually got throat cancer and almost died.
Oh, wow.
I think he has a
trach ring.
Yeah.
Oh.
God
damn.
Yeah. So I'm just going to read this directly from the Washington Post Sherry Waxman article, Sleazy Writer from 1997. The turbulent part. So back up a second. So when he wrote Showgirls, he said that was the worst part of his life. Like he was in the worst time of his life.
I think I vaguely remember seeing like that line, like that wording in the Wikipedia for the movie.
So he, I'm just gonna read for a second.
Yeah. A good opportunity to get room tone. I forgot to do that at the beginning of this recording, so that was good.
Okay, so you may have heard of this band, Fleetwood Mac.
A little bit. I mean, my mom's only a massive fan my entire life, so yeah.
Brief side note. So dating apps are horrible.
Yeah, I'm very glad to be off them.
I found a way to make Tinder a little more fun.
Oh.
So they have an app, a sub, whatever, that you are swiping and it plays the music. The person's like number one listened to song.
Oh, that's fun.
You get a little bit more flavor of the personality, and
I like that actually. That's a nice little touch. So you've listened to "They're Coming to Take Me Away" over and over and over again.
I've listened to so much Taylor Swift.
Just because it's their favorite.
Yeah.
I mean, she did just drop that album that's apparently a big deal. So
it's a lot of the coolest part is like, oh, I now have learned a new song. This is cool. Try to check it out.
That's pretty cool.
But the two I've heard the most of is Taylor Swift and Fleetwood Mac, which is cool. That's no problem there.
Sure. Different vibes.
A little bit. It's either that or like club music.
Sure. Yeah, this would be expected.
It's pretty. You can swipe way quicker. Anyway, so you know how in Fleetwood Mac there's a lot of they kind of like swippy swapped.
Yes, I mean, Rumors is famously referred to as an album about and written by people cheating on each other.
Yeah, so Joe kind of had that happen.
Oh.
So he had written this movie called Sliver, and it was produced by Bill McDonald,
who was sleeping with Lindsey Buckingham.
Could be. He was married to a woman named Naomi,
who was sleeping with Stevie Nicks.
Could be. Joe was who was married to Jerry at the time. Jerry with the G.
Okay, yeah. Who was sleeping with Jerry Seinfeld.
Who was
Sorry, I'll stop now.
How old would Jerry have been at that time? So follow me here.
Okay.
Joe falls in love with Naomi. Naomi is married to Bill.
Mm-hmm.
Bill is Joe's boss. But Bill wants to fuck Sharon Stone.
Oh, hold on.
Running out of fingers.
Hey,
Sharon.
Tony, have you figured out the love hexagon?
Bill leaves Naomi. So Naomi gets married to Joe. Everyone's happy except for Jerry.
Oh, Jerry. Poor Jerry. Oh.
And it was in this kerfuffle that...
No, you meant to say that.
I didn't.
No, yes, you fucking did. I'm keeping it. You absolutely meant kerfuffle.
I'm now gonna never say that. I meant to say kerfluffle. Fuck.
I'm so happy. I'm so happy that what you said was said. Please go on.
It was at this time that he wrote Showgirls.
Holy shit! Okay.
So you're going through some shit.
Oh god, does that make the James storyline make more or less sense?
Right,
I just fuck.
What was also happening was, and this is a callback to our crossover episode with Antonio from
the Cultworthy podcast. Yes,
when we talked about Coralco pictures.
I thought Coralco was mentioned or involved with this production. Okay,
we had discussed Cutthroat Island.
Yes.
And what was that? Was that Heaven's Gate?
Heaven's Gate, yeah.
So Coralco, they were created in the 70s. They made a couple made is not really.
Yeah.
They made a couple of really great films, and then they started to overspend.
Yes.
If you recall, where they paid Arnold Schwarzenegger like $11 million. I think it might have been Total Recall.
I think it was Total Recall, yeah.
But they like wined and dined their actors way too hard, yeah. And by 1997, we're getting to the point where that's starting to come back and bite them in the ass. By that I mean they've already been bought out by a new company, and the new guys are trying to save it, and they're like, "Fuck, we bought a dud."
Yep.
So they end up selling.
Wait, Elon Musk bought Coralco?
6-year-old. Yeah. I googled how to spell. Was it Nouveau Riche?
Nouveau Riche.
Yeah, earlier. And his picture popped up.
Oh, that's kind of funny.
Delightful. So Coralco had to sell off the rights to a bunch of shit.
Yeah.
But they were in the middle of making Showgirls, and they ended up sending that over to MGM, I want to say. Right before they made their comeback film, which was Cutthroat Island, which, as you're aware,
Nope.
Paul Verhoeven was not supposed to make Showgirls. He was working on I think it was called like The Crusade or something like that.
Yeah, he wanted to do The Crusade with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and that didn't make it out of development.
No. So the reason he initially signed on to do this movie with Paul Verhoeven was to save Coralco, to help Coralco.
Okay.
Because they had done Basic Instinct. I think they'd done RoboCop. He'd like worked with them.
Interesting. Okay.
It obviously didn't work out because he didn't even get to release the movie before they shit the bed.
Yeah.
But that partially explains how he got involved. I think there's also like he wanted to do a favor for Joe Esterhaus, who he's close with,
who was going through
some shit,
pretty rough time. Okay.
So that's as close to a reason as we can suss out as to why this happened, because they both intended to make the movie they made.
Yes. Well, didn't Verhoeven have an idea for a musical?
Yeah. So they originally wanted to do. He was interested in doing like an old, big Hollywood musical.
Yes.
And I think Joe Esterhaus suggested like, why don't we set it in Vegas?
Yes.
And I forget where it took a hard right, but it did, because that's not what we got. I feel like they shopped it around a little bit, and when they moved away from the musical aspect, that's when they started to add the parallels to All About Eve.
Okay, so that's where we start getting the borrowed skeleton.
Right. I mean, it's not like a super original story at this point. When All About Eve first came out, I'm sure it was a bit of a different story. But All About Eve is basically about this actress who is starring in a show on Broadway or whatever.
Sure.
And she's older. She was like a big star for a long time, but she's having trouble kind of like doing the younger roles now.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when they cast 20-year-olds as high school students.
Yeah. No, you're 36 now, honey. You can't play anything other than the old crone.
Right. Yeah. Which Betty Davis. That kind of played out.
Yeah. Joan Crawford.
Yeah. So there's an actress that watches her every night.
Okay.
Because she recognizes her for being this incredibly talented actress, and all she wants to do is be an actress. Well, she ends up running into Betty Davis's friend, and she invites her in to meet Betty Davis. And basically, Betty Davis brings her on as like an assistant of sorts.
Okay.
And then slowly shit happens, and Eve ends up being the understudy for Betty Davis. And then other shit happens, and she ends up going on.
Yeah. Is she sabotages Betty Davis in order to get on?
She doesn't, but there's sabotage.
There is sabotage. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, there's sabotage. She lies about who she is. Where she came from.
Eve does?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So they're borrowing that element as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Which actually, real quick, I want to point out something about that because Becca pointed this out to me and I can't get it out of my head, and I forgot to mention it when we were talking about what does and doesn't work. Um, the name she chooses for herself is Know Me.
Mm-hmm.
Know Me.
Mm-hmm.
As in not me.
Yeah. They
it's dumb.
it is dumb. It is dumb. Unless you're that dude in the documentary that was like, get it? It's brilliant.
Oh my god, are you kidding me? Somebody actually oh my god.
Yeah.
For any of you who are listening, if you've seen Glass Onion, you understand what's happening in my brain right now.
I have not watched it yet.
I am having big Benoit Blanc feelings right now.
Oh, I missed that.
You missed.
So, remember when we were talking about Fleetwood Mac?
Yeah.
And we did the Love Hexagon?
Yes.
Well, the reason that Bill McDonald decided to go for it with Sharon Stone was because his psychic told him to. I missed that.
I'm so angry.
Anyway, Verhoeven watched All About Eve and was like, hey, let's take some of this and throw it in here. It's not like a one-to-one copy, but there's enough in it that it's like...
There's a clear influence.
Yeah.
Which, sure, that happens with art. You borrow from different things. You're not going to completely reinvent the wheel every time you make a movie, nor should you.
So what I'm curious about, and this is only film nerd would care.
Yes.
So for Black Swan, Darren Aronofsky bought the rights to Perfect Blue.
Right.
Black Swan is not a remake of Perfect Blue.
Okay.
But there are enough similarities there that he's like, I'm just going to be safe and buy the rights. So
okay,
I get my ass sued.
I mean, that's prudent, I suppose. That.
This movie, Showgirls, is more like
All About Eve.
All About Eve than Black Swan is about
Perfect Blue. Fascinating.
To the point where I'm like, I didn't read anywhere that there was like rights being exchanged or that they acknowledged it was a remake, because it's not a remake. But
despite what the Razzies say.
Correct. Of course, you know what? MGM might own All About Eve and not give a single fuck.
That could very well be the case.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, just by serendipity, there could have already been coverage there.
Yeah. Watch Perfect Blue. It's really good.
Yeah.
In Black Swan.
I like Black Swan.
I do too.
Yeah. Get a little tired of Aronofsky, but
we've talked
about this a little bit. Yeah.
So I'd like to, before we take a break,
yes,
go over the history of the NC-17 rating.
Yeah, I think that would be fascinating to know, actually, because I don't know a whole lot about that.
Well, I don't think it's really used anymore.
I certainly haven't seen a movie released with it or heard it mentioned, really.
Yeah, I think it's pretty rare. I think it still is in practice, but very rarely. So NC-17 used to be X.
Sure.
X is gone.
X is gone?
Gone.
Huh.
And the reason for that is when they started rating movies X, it wasn't an automatic death to the film. Whereas if we made a movie and it was rated NC-17, there's very, very, very little chance that it'll go into a theater.
Sure. Yeah, nobody wants to carry it.
House.
Yeah.
Whereas when X was first introduced, you could still see a movie that was rated X in a big theater. There have been movies that were rated X that were nominated for like Oscars.
Sure.
I think Clockwork Orange was X originally. Midnight Cowboy is famously.
Yeah.
X.
That was what was coming to mind for me there. Yeah.
And there's other ones. They've all, for the most part, been reevaluated and are now R.
Sure.
But at the time, it didn't mean that it wasn't considered art. However, it did start to become a selling point.
Mhm.
So, if a movie is rated R, it's kind of like whenever people won't go see a horror movie that's PG-13 because it's not R, it's not
Not worth
real horror. Or
Yeah,
whatever.
like it's gonna be like cheesy jump scares,
Right.
and yeah.
Well, when they started slapping an X on horror films, they started noticing that people were just like, fuck yeah, I'm going to watch that. At the same time, porno theaters started putting X on their film, or triple X on their films, to the point where people started associating the X rating more with pornography than they did with films.
Yeah.
Traditional narrative films. I'm not saying porno isn't a film.
I mean, it's definitely a film. Just
it's definitely using celluloid.
It
did. But like for a moment there was even porno that was mainstream.
Okay.
That's where you, like, a lot of people are aware of the porno Deep Throat because it was mainstream. It had an X rating, but in rating that X, because it did become mainstream, it made that it like opened the doors for all porno to be rated X.
Huh.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
So let's see here. So in 1990, God damn it, Jack, did you just really what? I was like, I didn't write that stuff down. I have to pull this from my memory. I did. It was all written down. I'm just double checking myself so I didn't
copy and paste something from Howard the Duck.
I didn't miss anything, or I didn't misspeak, but there's a couple things I'd like to add.
Okay, yeah.
So in The Clockwork Orange came out in 1971. Midnight Cowboy was 1969.
Nice.
Fritz the Cat was the first animated film rated X. That was 1972.
Huh. I had no idea there was an X-rated animated film. That's astounding.
I mean, it's not X, but it's definitely like it's an R.
Okay.
Definitely a hard R. So the first American non-pornographic film to be rated X was Brian De Palma's 1968 film Greetings, starring De Niro, which I've not even heard of.
Why am I not surprised as De Palma?
I'm not surprised as De Palma. I was like, yeah, right. So in 1990, the MPAA, they're the people that decide the rating, replaced X with NC-17. That stands for No Children Under 17.
Okay.
So with an R rating, it's if you're 17, if you show up and you're 17, or if you're under 18 and you show up to an R rating, you can't get in. But if I go with my sleazy uncle, I can.
You can, yes.
Whereas if I show up with my sleazy uncle to NC-17, they're like, no and gross.
Yeah. Fair. You ever do that thing where you go with an adult to go see an R-rated movie, but the adult just leaves?
I went with a complete stranger. Once. I was dating. This was high school. I was dating Dusty, and we wanted to go see the Tom Jane Punisher. And there were these two older kids that were probably like mid-20s.
Okay.
And they were going to go see Kill Bill, which was the right choice.
Yes.
Forgive me, I did not know what I was doing. And we're worried that we weren't going to get in because we're very clearly not 18.
Sure.
And we're like, hey, are you guys going in there? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, do you guys pretend like you're my older brother? And they're like, hell yeah.
That rules.
Yeah. So that was how I got to see Tom Jane's Punisher.
Yeah, I had a friend's uncle who got 4 of us in to see Jackass #2. And he immediately was like, I'm not. He came into the theater and sat down for like 5 minutes, and he was like, I can't do this. I'm gonna go wait in the car.
That's amazing. Good for him, but also, yeah.
Yeah. We had a great time.
The first movie to receive the NC-17 was Henry and June, which I'm familiar with the infamy of the book. I'm not familiar with.
I've heard of it. I don't know anything about it, though.
I think it's just real raunchy, sexy.
Sure.
But like, Yeah, I don't want to misquote it. The book is known for being censored.
Ah.
So the movie based on the book, also that.
Yeah, sure.
But with the NC-17, there's some papers that refuse to run ads. There's some theaters that won't run it. 5 years later, we get Showgirls, which did get a mass release, not as big as if it was a lower rating, but still a mass release.
Do you know how many screens it was on?
It was distributed to 1,388 cinemas.
Oh, wow.
Upon its initial release.
Okay, so at least that many screens.
Yes.
And I can't really see it being played on more than one screen per theater, I feel like.
Probably not.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people will be really wary. And they wouldn't want to gamble on taking up that much screen real estate with this NC-17 monstrosity.
Yeah. No, I can't imagine. I mean, it was, once it was kind of known for what it was known for, it was rebranded as, like, instead of being like a hard-hitting drama, it's like, look at this sleazy bullshit.
NC-17. Watch this dolphin humping at your local cinema.
So many films have gotten the NC-17 rating and have gone back and edited. It's really contentious. That's actually why Showgirls was rated NC-17, because Paul Verhoeven, he got NC-17 for, I think he got X for RoboCop, because I think it was prior. But
sure.
A number of his films were either X or NC-17, and he had to like recut them to get the R rating. With Showgirls, he's like, I'm going to take a giant cut to my budget, to my pay, if you let me release this as an NC-17. Like, just let me make the movie I want to make.
Yeah, I think I remember reading somewhere that he took like a 70% cut to it was a big fucking cut contingent upon this release.
And he said, once it makes its money back, then I'll get my pay out of that.
I mean, that's rough.
Yeah.
But
I'm sure he's fine.
That's sweet pervert money later on.
I wonder if his contract accounted for the sweet.
I'm gonna guess not.
Probably not. Literally any time after 1995, I think people probably started to consider the VHS and DVD monies, but
yeah,
we won't get into this here. But I don't think Disney had quite launched the VHS service at that point. Like, Disney's a big reason why VHS became such a giant fucking thing. And I want to say that was around the time of Little Mermaid, but I could be wrong.
That would have been before 95, though, right?
Like 92.
Yeah.
But the VHS release.
Fair. Yeah, it took a lot longer for them to come out at that point.
And Disney was known for doing a very limited VHS release.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, limited in the
right.
Yeah. We can talk about Disney in artificial scarcity until our faces turn fucking blue, but.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, but I get what you're saying there.
Cycling, because I forget what book I read. It was all about
the Disney War.
Yeah, it was Disney War, like Shakespearean war play. Fascinating bullshit. Everyone, all of our favorite shits run by idiots. That's
basically
that's the summary of the entire book.
Yes.
So anyway. Two of the examples I wrote down for movies that were rated NC-17 and recut were American Pie and the Grindhouse film, which is now split in two, but initially was released as one film.
Sure. Wasn't there also a worry of Deadpool potentially hitting NC-17 originally?
Sure.
I vaguely remember something along those lines. But...
even if it wasn't, I can see them saying that.
Yeah, it's a fair point.
The only film that appealed the NC-17 rating and got it bumped down to an R, and I'm assuming they mean without anything being cut.
Uh-huh.
Would you like to guess what it is? It came out in 2008.
Oh, 2008.
I'm pretty sure you've seen it.
2008. I don't know, it was like one of the Underworld movies or something, or
Kevin Smith's Zack and Miri Make a Porno.
no. Oh, I should have known that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that tracks. That absolutely tracks.
Yeah. So I'm just going.
It's hilarious to think that would qualify for NC-17.
Yeah,
Like,
it's an R.
Oh, it's definitely an
I wouldn't
R.
say it's a hard R.
Jeff Anderson gets his face just absolutely shat all over.
But it's not like a hard R.
No, it's so goofy and ridiculous.
Is there nudity in it?
There's tits.
Okay.
Yeah, you get some boobs.
Okay.
I mean, they did cast an actual porn star
Right.
in one of the roles, so like.
But not Elizabeth Banks or Seth Rogen.
No. Well, we might have seen Seth Rogen's boobs at some point in the movie. I'm not entirely sure. Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll leave you with the image of Mr. Anderson having shit on his face. Right back.
How you feeling?
I'm feeling great, which means I'm going to feel like shit in the morning because I have to wake up real early.
You work tomorrow?
I work early tomorrow. It's my first early shift.
Fuck, I'm sorry.
No, it's going to be fascinating. So we were at the fix.
We're at the fix now?
It should be interesting. Because I looked up how to actually pitch a movie and wanted to try to follow that formula.
Okay.
So I'm ready whenever.
All right. Let's do it then.
All right. So we've really dug into Showgirls.
And how?
And now we're going to try to fix it. So we used to take a pretty long time to do that.
That's very true.
We've
gotten it down in recent episodes.
Yes. I want to lean closer to an elevator pitch. A shortened version. I actually did some research on the format of a movie pitch. So I'm going to try to follow that as closely as I possibly can.
All right.
I warn you, there's nothing I hate more than a log line.
This is true. No, Jack. I have watched Jack get so upset about trying to come up with log lines for things. It is easily the bane of his existence.
It's basically taking your entire film and summarizing it in 25 words.
That's hard.
I don't even think I did it for this. I think it was just like, it's 3 sentences, close enough. It's like, it's not my movie. Fuck you.
Yeah, fair.
So the first thing you should do when you're pitching your movie is say what it's titled, which is Showgirls.
It's called Showgirls. Yeah, okay, check.
The log line. I'm already mad. I just like read the first 4 words and I'm like, fuck you.
Seething.
Because you have to cram in like the characters, the action, what the characters are, what they.
That's a lot for 25 words. Jesus Christ.
Diamond in the rough, Naomi flees to Las Vegas to chase her dreams and escape her past. Working her way up from the bottom, she catches the attention of Crystal, an older, sadistic showgirl star. She tests Naomi's determination and morality, seeing how far Naomi will go to become the lead of the show. I'm going to go jump in front of the bus.
It may have been a little bit long, but I'll allow it. Check. I actually think it was a pretty good log line.
86. Just the bus. I was trying to think of one that goes fast.
I mean that's like the P1. You want if you want fast, you want one of the express buses that goes through the busways. They can truck, man. Like the
16's not going to do it.
No, 16's not going to do it. No, 16's like that 16's goddamn clown shoes, man. What are you talking about? It's just
so for the genre. I want to try to do this more as a like 90s, specifically 90s independent film.
Okay.
Definitely drama still, but the indie dramas are more kitschy. Like they lean more towards like you're uncomfortable with what we're covering.
Yeah. I think there's a little bit more of reveling in that in a lot of indie cinema.
Like it takes itself seriously, but not nearly as seriously as a mainstream film.
It's either not nearly as seriously or entirely too seriously. It depends on who's making the film.
Sure. Yes, I'm thinking of Secretary.
Okay.
I'm thinking of, and I mean this was a comedy, so it's not quite the same. But what is it? But I'm a cheerleader.
Oh yeah, but I'm a cheerleader. Natasha Lyonne and
yeah.
I'm blanking on what's her name. Fuck. Yeah, Natasha Lyonne. We'll leave it at that.
So for themes, I like the theme of there's corruption in the entertainment industry. So the one film that I have not touched on that I watched for research is Girl 27.
Yes.
Which is a documentary about corruption in old Hollywood. It's a movie that I'd watched. I saw the cover at the library when I first moved here and didn't know anybody and just had like a DVD player. It's rough. It is rough.
I believe that. Yeah, there's probably just untold depths of examples to pull from.
Yeah, they specifically were pulling from Girl 27 because that was who she was cast as like a background dancer. She was like Girl 27. And I'm not going to go into great depths here, but basically she went to a Hollywood party. Well, not unlike Showgirls, where they're like, hey, grab a couple girls, we'll bring them down to the showroom for, just to like entertain the guys.
Yep.
Well, they're like, hey, bring the chorus girls from the box full of chorus girls that we have.
Yeah.
Bring them out to the
chorus girl stables.
Right. Basically.
Yeah.
And one of the executives violently assaulted her.
Yeah, that's where I thought you were going with that.
And it was covered up. Nobody believed her. She did sue. Most of the people that happened to in old Hollywood did not. Because especially then, if you were a femme and admitted that you had sex, you were considered
unchaste, dirty,
and that
damaged.
Includes if you were assaulted.
Yeah, that fucking sucks, and is also wholly historically accurate.
Yeah. They also talk about less directly. It was something that like the filmmaker had accidentally dug up while researching this. That there was an actress who had an affair with Clark Gable, and she literally went on TV 8 months pregnant and was like, no, I'm not knocked up. I'm just not that. Had a child.
No, this is a tumor. I'm very ill, you see.
I have gas.
I drank a lot of Pepsi.
Brought to you by John Crawford. Had the child, donated the child. Well, donated.
Shove the child into the Salvation Army bin.
That's how that works, right? That's they're so large. Gave the kid away to an adoption agency.
Yes.
Then adopted the kid.
Oh, she adopted the kid?
She readopted
the kid.
She's like, oh, I am not pregnant. I don't have a child.
No, but all this talk about having a child made me hungry. I mean, made me want a child. So.
Yeah, but I will not have it much like Joan Crawford did.
Yes.
She adopted children instead of
this was entirely my choice and involved no man.
Especially not Clark Gable, who's a married man.
Especially not that Clark Gable, whose dick is fantastic. Wait.
Also,
no, stand by that.
Had her father's ears, which was very
exciting. Of course, yeah, of course it fucking did.
So yes, that is to say, mostly I just want to rewatch the film because I hadn't seen it in a long time.
Sure.
But also, yeah, even though that was old Hollywood corruption, still very much exists.
Still, yeah.
So let me pitch you some of the story.
Please.
So we start with Naomi barely escaping with her life intact. I said before, I really like the opening to the movie as is. I want to do that exact same thing, just with her looking like she's desperately trying to escape something rather than just trying to hitch a ride.
Yes.
Later, we do learn that she is a sex worker and that she's trying to escape from what was a dangerous situation. She tries to hide that past because, much like Showgirls, we didn't really get to talk about this, but like the actual Naomi character had been a sex worker at one point.
Yes.
I do want to carry over that shame, but it's less. It's again, it's societally induced shame.
Social stigma.
Right. The person who picks her up is not some weird Elvis country singer man who
fucking Jeff,
but rather a kindly old man who's going to visit his niece.
Old Jeff.
And after like listening to Naomi's, kind of like seeing that Naomi.
Yeah, you've done that a couple of times, but
is in a bad way. She's like, hey, my niece needs a roommate. Her niece being Molly.
Okay. So it's less that she gets just like ditched without her shit.
Right. She escapes with the help of this older fella. This older fella tries to do her a solid, hooks her up with Molly.
Yeah. And she doesn't have to threaten his balls with a switchblade.
No ball threatening, no running into traffic, no strange random puking.
Yeah, that was bizarre, huh?
The documentary also pointed out that Paul Verhoeven has a lot of weird women puking, and I don't want to analyze that. So while waiting to meet Molly, like to be introduced to her, Naomi sees. I named it Heat.
So again, Nomi. Becca actually popped up in the chat and said, "Jack, remember the pun? Her name is so meaningful."
Yeah, I guess it doesn't really work with Naomi, does it?
Nope.
God damn it! Go to bed. Naomi, while waiting to be introduced to Molly, takes in the show, which is what happens in the movie.
Yes.
I named it Heat because it looked hot.
Yes. Sure.
I couldn't remember what it was called.
Goddess.
Stupid. So this happened. They meet up, roommates, blah blah blah. Molly eventually does introduce Nomi to Crystal.
Yes.
Crystal recognizes her as the creep who watches the show every fucking night.
Oh, okay. She picks up on it right away.
Yeah.
Okay.
Crystal also notices that her stated boyfriend, Zach, is attracted to Nomi.
There's also fucking Lindsey Buckingham. I'm sorry.
This is an audio medium, so nobody got to see my soul vibe. Oh boy. So Crystal begins a sadistic, because she is attracted to Nomi, but also sees that her boyfriend's attracted to Nomi.
Yes.
Begins a sadistic sexual game of cat and also cat with Nomi.
I'm so glad that even though we didn't touch on the Joe Esterhaus line from Venture Brothers, you still worked a Venture Brothers reference in there.
Had to. So there's a. Whenever I read the name Joe Esterhaus, I'm like, that sounds really familiar.
Yep.
And it took me a while to remember, and I'm like, oh, it's a one-off line in Venture Brothers.
It's a throwaway joke in Venture Brothers.
Where I forget what the exact line is, but they're talking about rock and Molotov cocktails.
Yeah.
And like, Jesus, who wrote this dialogue? Joe Esterhaus.
Joe Esterhaus.
Because it was probably sleazy and horny.
Yeah.
Anyway. So this cat and also cat causes Nomi to question her sexuality as well as her morality. I do want to play more with the.
Okay.
Is she actually attracted to women or not?
So a little less queer baiting and maybe actually delving into it.
Correct.
Okay.
In a subplot, we've seen Nomi work with James, a queer choreographer, because I'm just not even fucking dealing with that. To star in his independent production.
Okay.
In this, and I feel a little uncomfortable doing this because I'm making the two people of color characters friends, but narratively it makes sense.
Okay.
Molly's friend James is putting on an independent like dance production. I want to play up that story of this is the artistic quote, big finger quotes, artistic version of dancing that you should be doing if you respect the art of dance. That is like the steps are laid out in the original movie but aren't played to.
Sure.
So this ultimately fails, obviously, when Nomi is confronted with her past. Crystal, having gotten in too deep with that cat, has done research on Nomi and has figured out that Nomi is not Nomi. They are Jeff.
She's also Jeff.
Also Jeff. But was in recent past a sex worker and a single mother.
Oh, Polly. Her name was Polly.
Polly.
Yeah, because they make the Pollyanna joke. Yeah, they make that Pollyanna joke early in the film, and then it comes back around when that's her real name.
Pollyanna.
Yeah, because she goes, "What did you say?" And so,
right, which is a super obscure deep dig at a novel I think came out in 1912.
Something like that. Yeah, it's it's well over a century old now.
It's got to be like Joe Esterhouse's favorite book growing up, and he's like, oh yeah, everyone knows the reference to Pollyanna, where you call somebody Pollyanna, they're just overly optimistic, which no one would ever have said about that character at any point in that movie.
No.
But who knows, maybe it's left over from an early draft.
Yeah, it could be.
He was going through some shit, guys. Okay. Anyway,
love Hexagon,
Crystal threatens to out Nomi as a sex worker and a single mother. Yeah, and Nomi very, like in the film when she pushes her down the stairs, it almost feels like in the moment, kind of like, it just happened.
Mm-hmm.
And this is very deliberately like, oh, you're going to ruin my dance career. I'm going to push you down the stairs. Zach, without a better, I want to make him even more devious in this, where, oh, he's like, well, I can't have the show not go on.
Yeah.
Even though I'm fully aware that this person pushed Crystal down the steps.
Yeah.
It will ruin me to not have the show go on with who is, in this movie, an actually good dancer to take the role.
Yeah, his MBA would tell him all of this.
Right. It also means that he has to maintain the affair if Nomi's not going to ruin him.
Huh.
Yeah. Interesting.
Okay, so you've added some layers to this.
It's what I do.
Yeah.
It's real easy sometimes with the movies we cover. So the characters are a little different in this version. Nomi's actually a little closer to All About Eve.
Yeah, I was picking up on that. Yeah.
My star casting for this, my go-to casting, which I can't because of the age difference, would be Brittany Murphy.
Oh my God, she would have been way too young.
Yeah. She's acting, but she just would have been way too young.
Right. Yeah. Had she been of the right age, could have been amazing.
Yeah. She can play both sides.
Yeah. Absolutely. But again, way too young for that role at that time.
The other choices would have been that I think would have been great would have also been Charlize Theron, who was
considered. Yeah, I agree. I think she would have been a good choice. So we had also discussed that Angelina Jolie could have probably done a good job with this.
I think Angelina Jolie turned it down, or I think Charlize Theron was
only considered but not offered. Okay, so fascinating.
Because she was very young in her career.
Right.
So I think I probably would have offered it to her.
Okay. What other casting changes would you have made?
Okay, so I only recast Kyle MacLachlan.
Okay.
With Nick Nolte. 90s Nick Nolte.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because of the time. Right. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that helps lend to the dramatic bent that they were trying to go for with this. I think he would have fit that level of sleaze and that level of corruption better. I think because as we discussed in part one, we both agree that as much as we love Kyle MacLachlan,
he just
probably miscast here.
It'll be interesting to rewatch the Flintstones and see if he's able to play basically the exact same character, but a little better if he's being tongue-in-cheek about it.
Is Kyle MacLachlan in?
He's the villain.
Holy shit.
And I want to say Halle Berry is his secretary. I
think you're right. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so excited to watch this fucking movie again.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I was just thinking about the Flintstones. Anyway, so we talked a little bit about the mood and style.
Yes.
I want to bring the budget down.
Sure.
I want to have, instead of having like a lot of big Vegas numbers, I want it to be limited to 3.
Okay.
So it's the first time that Nomi sees it. That's 1. Then it's the first time she's on stage.
Mm-hmm.
That's 2. And then the last time is when she is the star.
Ah, I see. So you're doing kind of the same, just the opening number over and over again, more or less.
Yeah.
So I mean that also streamlines things in terms of like costuming and wardrobe and whatnot. Because one of the other things I forgot to bring up in episode 1 is that the supposed quick changes they're going through, absolutely unbelievable. Becca pointed out to me that they actually they are trying to make us believe that they're changing the rhinestone patterns around their fucking eyes between numbers.
No.
There's no fucking way. Absolutely no way that's happening. Just no.
I guess we could wonder how they would do a quick change in real life. I imagine that there's we have a fuck ton of dancers that we just rotate out.
Yeah.
That would be the only way I could think of doing it. Anyway.
Yeah.
I want to focus more on the psychosexual not triangle, I guess, not hexagon here.
Love hexagon.
As well as the the drama between these people rather than the spectacle.
I think that's way more effective because you're still going to get the corruption. If anything, you're going to be more thoroughly mired in it. You have greater emotional stakes in it.
We're definitely pulling away from the satire. I mean, satire is not necessarily my style.
Well, the satire in this also isn't that effective, right? Like it's just there's a couple of scenes that I think highlight the message that they want to try to send, but there's nothing that's really satirizing it. It's just depicting it, whereas with Starship Troopers, it's taking the fascism to an extreme to where it's trying to show you an ideal fascist society, and then you have to realize, oh, it's only good for smashing bugs. That's it.
Yeah.
It's not good for anything fucking else. It's stupid. That's where the satire comes from there. You're not getting that same impact, that same kind of heightening for the sake of commentary in this. I think the attempts at satire, I think, get too muddied by the interpersonal psychosexual stuff that you're bringing more to the forefront and sharpening here.
I also don't think that the character of Nomi, as originally portrayed, works for satire.
No.
If your goal is to show how the corruption of the entertainment industry treats women, perhaps don't have that character be the protagonist.
Yeah.
I mean, you can have her. I mean, do it like All About Eve, where she starts out very innocently and is corrupted over time.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I don't know. I don't do satire.
Something else you could do: tell the story from Molly's perspective.
That could also be cool.
Yeah, this is another thing that Becca gave me. Actually, is if you show it from her perspective, you're showing not just the corruption of the industry, but also how some of the more role players and some of the people who are more peripheral to what's happening can get absolutely fucked over. That's
actually, I think, a really good idea. If I were to do a satire angle, that's the road I would take. It would be like when comic books randomly are like, so we're going to tell a story from the Stormtrooper's point of view.
Yeah.
Look at all the bullshit that happens, and the Stormtrooper's like, I'm just guarding this place.
if I remember correctly, College Humor has an entire series called Troopers.
Yes.
That is a comedic look at a Star Wars-esque universe from the Stormtroopers' perspective.
That I think would be the most effective way if you were to do satire. If we're doing a drama, but better. This is the version I would want.
Mm-hmm.
So, step 5: write a compelling conclusion. Conclude your pitch by discussing how the story ends. I will do that now.
Okay.
So, at the top of her stardom, Nomi is disgusting. She's manipulating Zach. She's chucked Crystal down the steps.
Yep.
She's moved out of her place with Molly. She doesn't give a shit about Molly anymore. She treats her like shit.
Boo.
Nomi's basically destroying herself.
Yes.
Molly and James try to step in to do anything.
Just intervene somehow.
Yeah. So when Nomi's about to go on for the big show, whatever it is,
they kill her.
her. It's a very harsh intervention. Yeah, that stopped it. Nomi walks into the room to see her husband and daughter.
Oh.
And the three of them talk, and like her husband's trying to tell her how proud he is of her, everything she's achieved, because he's not seeing the backside of all of this. Much like we, the audience, don't know how corrupt the entertainment industry is. I didn't mean to do that.
Yeah.
And like her daughter's excited to see her perform because, she's like, I want to be a dancer, or whatever.
Yeah.
Bullshit. But when they like go to sit in the audience, they're waiting, and finally somebody comes on and says, like, the part of the goddess will be portrayed by understudy Jeff. And that's when we see a mirror image of Nomi when she was the bright-eyed, bushy-tailed dancer. The cycle continues.
Yeah.
That is directly from All About Eve.
Fantastic.
But the last we see of Nomi, she's hitchhiking again.
Yeah.
To escape this.
She can't deal with the reality of being with her family.
Correct.
Yeah.
She hitchhikes, this time to Hollywood, again changing her name. I said Jessie Spano. Thus, the Nomi cycle starts all over again.
I like it. That's a fucking gut punch. Good Lord.
Yeah. I don't feel good about it.
I think you should. I mean, like in terms of like what happens, no, you shouldn't feel good about it. But I think in terms of like what you wrote, the idea you came up with, I think you should feel good about it. That was a hell of a pitch.
Thank you. It's a skill I want to hone. It's not one I quite have yet.
I mean, I think this is a very good way to practice it.
Yes,
that's that was something we had intended originally with the show. So, yeah. I think that was a step in the right direction with our fixes.
Nice, cool. I'm glad to hear it. Because since this is a little behind the scenes stuff, but since we started the show, I've kind of struggled with like, in what way do I present the fix?
Yeah,
and we've done like full novels.
Yeah, sure.
We've done some like yada yadas.
We've done some yada yadas. We've done some Kevin Smith style outlines. This I think though was more digestible. I think this was way easier to handle, and I think you've set a good groundwork and explanation for like what the approach is, that you can even go through it faster next time, potentially.
Yeah. The only issue I see with the script is I don't think Paul Verhoeven would direct it. I don't think he would want to do it.
Who would?
I'm not great with my 90s directors. I have no idea. Frank Darabont.
That'd be wild.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he could do it. I don't think he would want to do it either.
Probably
he
not,
could.
He could. Yeah, I could see him doing it, but yeah, he might not want to.
Whoever did The Big Chill.
I'm curious.
Ooh, you know who'd make this like all the sad parts extra sad is 90s Ang Lee.
Oh my God. Yeah, he really would.
That's it. Yep. We'll give him a call.
Lawrence Kasdan did The Big Chill.
Oh, okay.
But 90s Ang Lee.
Yeah.
I kind of dig that.
I'm into it. Directed one of I've been trying to put together a list of my top 25 favorite films because I only ever amassed 5, but then I saw somebody ask, I forget who it was, what their 25 was.
Okay.
The Ice Storm is on my list, which is early 90s Ang Lee sad bastard film.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
It's also the only Thanksgiving movie I know. That and the Charlie Brown one.
That's a big leap between those two things. Woo!
Well, we did it. We did Showgirls.
Real quick, we've got 2 comments I want to highlight real quick. Becca's been in the chat here. Regarding Pollyanna.
I just saw.
Huh?
I just saw that Nate, East Side Nate from the cabin.
Yeah.
Is on the chat, and he said Schumacher.
No, Nate! God!
Almost spit my water out.
I was wondering why you did a spit take there. Jesus.
He didn't do Falling Down.
He did do Falling Down.
He was too busy in '95. Sorry.
He's just ruining everything. So Pollyanna was a movie in the 60s, actually. So okay. Adults in the 90s may have known it. They may have gotten the reference a little bit. Also, as a suggestion for the director, Vincent Gallo.
What the fuck's wrong with these people? Is that Becca?
Yeah. It'll be depressing, and he'll cast himself as Zach. Is what she said.
You're not wrong.
Schumacher. God damn it. I'm so mad.
Got your planes, trains, and automobiles. Oh, okay. Well, hell of a time. It feels good to do this one.
Yeah, no, this was a fun episode. I had a really good time with this one.
I feel better than the Mummy. God damn.
Oh, Jesus Christ, that was a slog. Like, yeah, we're not we make a point of like not wanting to shit on movies and performers for this podcast, but holy shit, that movie was the Mummy 2017 was so fucking bad. I brought it up with one of my coworkers, like just on a whim, just like I watched the 2017 version of the Mummy, and he cut me off and goes, "That movie fucking sucked." It was just like, yeah, thank you, James. Like you get it.
Mm-hmm. Nate was listing Thanksgiving movies, Dutch or Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Planes, Trains, and Automobiles would be considered a Thanksgiving movie. Yeah, I don't know that one either, but
Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is a good one.
It is a good one.
Again, would not pair well with but perhaps Charlie Brown Thanksgiving.
I mean, I could see that.
Well, thank all of you guys for popping in here with your comments.
Yeah, it's nice that we to get some comments we can actually include in the main episode, which we very rarely have.
What's the spam we normally get?
Oh, like the Russian Sex 69 love site links.
It's hard to respond to those.
I just like to point out to you when they happen. I don't respond to them at all. I don't.
I'm excited for next episode too.
Yes. Oh my God. Yeah. Because as we mentioned, we're doing a second Guilty Pleasures episode that'll be out next week. We're bringing on our dear friend Scott Almendinger, our director of photography with Ramming Speed Pictures, and former guest on, sadly, our Saving Christmas episodes.
We owe it to him.
We owe him. Yeah. We felt like we owed Scott a chance to do something fun and not soul crushing. So we're going to be doing Guilty Pleasures too. If you want to watch ahead, we are Oh god, well I'm bringing.
You're doing the game.
I'm doing Gamer,
Gamer.
2009, starring Gerard Butler and Michael C. Hall.
Scott's doing Hackers.
Scott's doing Hackers, 1995, I'm pretty sure.
And I'm doing the Flintstones movie.
1994. John Goodman and Rick Moranis.
I think I watched it at Nate's house before, actually.
And we're super excited to get to kick back and do something fun like that for the holidays. As a quick programming note, after that, we will be taking a little bit of a break. Not a total break, but we're going to cut down to bi-weekly releases where we're going to have a deleted scenes episode come out after a week off, and then a couple weeks after that, we're going to have we're gonna do like a relaxed fit, like best of 2022, just like stuff that we really liked from the year.
I also made a list of movies I'm looking forward to.
Yes, I've got a handful of those as well. So we'll talk about that in January, and then after that we'll start coming back with our regular schedule and start gearing up for the Razzies proper. As they are coming, man. They're right around the fucking bend.
Can't wait to talk about Morbius.
So long as it's not the fucking Hunter Biden movie, then I'm fine. That's just.
I think we can agree that if that happens,
we're just going to talk about Morbius. Yes, I agree.
Yikes.
All right. So thank you guys so much for sticking around here with us. This was an absolute blast. Yeah. I feel really happy with this with these episodes here. So if you enjoyed it, please rate and review everywhere you listen to podcasts. We're on iTunes, Spotify.
Tell your mom.
Tell your cats. Tell your cats. We're on Good Pods, Stitcher, cats. Wherever you listen to podcasts. Those ratings go a long way to getting us into more people's ear holes. So that more and more people can have fun with us here. You can always help. It always helps to share the episodes on social media as well. So if you're not following us, there, you can follow us on Facebook at DeRazzled Podcast, Instagram at DeRazzled_podcast, TikTok at DeRazzled_podcast, and Twitter at DeRazzled Pod. Jack's got a thing up his nose.
I was thinking about how I have to be up in like 4.5 hours,
which is dumb.
Wondering if I jam this up there far enough, if I'll have an excuse to not work tomorrow.
So I can't stop bleeding. Do I really have to come in?
Everything's so orange.
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ. Well, on that note, so Jack can get some goddamn sleep. Thank you again. Be sure to check us out next week, where we, as always, are sure to razzle-dazzle you.
Hell of a movie.
Bye, Becca. I'll be home soon.